I'll give you $1 million right now if you take off that veil.
They thought I was hiding a monster. But the most powerful sheik in the world didn't want my face. He wanted the one thing money can't buy.
The Al-Sabri Palace ballroom gleamed like the inside of a geode. Swarovski chandeliers cascaded from the vaulted ceiling, casting light onto a floor of Italian marble that reflected hundreds of women in haute couture. They spun like moths around a single flame. Khalil Al-Sabri. Khalil leaned against the railing of his private balcony, nursing a 50-year-old Scotch. His Tom Ford suit was tailored to within an inch of its life, and the Patek Philippe on his wrist cost more than most people earned in a decade. His dark eyes scanned the crowd with the heavy boredom of a man who had seen it all. Beside him, Amir Fadel chuckled. "Look at them, Khalil." Amir gestured to the floor, where a platinum blonde model was practically climbing onto a Saudi businessman. It's like the Colosseum, but instead of swords, they fight with cleavage and veneers. Khalil took a sip, the amber liquid burning pleasantly. "You find it funny, Amir. I find it pathetic. They all want the same things: the black card, the Manhattan penthouse, the rock on their finger. And you give it to them," Amir countered, grinning. Khalil didn't answer. He did give it to them. In exchange for perfect bodies, empty conversations about Ibiza, and loyalty that lasted exactly as long as the credit limit. Amir checked his phone. "Speaking of gifts, my daughter just arrived from London, fresh out of Sotheby's Institute. She starts cataloguing your collection tomorrow." Khalil raised an eyebrow. "The prodigy you've been bragging about? I expected someone older." "Zaina is 27, but she's already worked the Louvre and the Met," Amir said with rare, genuine pride. "She's brilliant." "Oh, there she is." Khalil glanced down, expecting another social climber in a dress that defied physics. The double mahogany doors swung open. The music didn't stop, but the atmosphere shifted. A subtle change in pressure, like the air before a storm. A woman walked in. She wore a floor-length gown of charcoal silk that covered her from neck to ankles. Long sleeves, high collar. Over it, a light coat of the same shade. But it was her face that stopped him, or rather the lack of it. Covering her entirely was a veil of pearl-grey fabric embroidered with silver threads that caught the chandelier light like distant stars. It wasn't a religious niqab, it was something else. Elegant, deliberate. Through the fine mesh, her features were a complete mystery. Khalil straightened. His predator instincts, usually dormant at these parties, flared to life. "That's your daughter?" "Yes," Amir said, his tone cautious. "Zaina chose the veil years ago, not for religion, personal choice. She prefers to be known for her mind, not her face." Khalil let out a dry laugh. "Dramatic and convenient. I bet she's average-looking and uses the mystery to compensate." Yet he couldn't look away. Zaina moved through the crowd with regal indifference, ignoring the glares of women in backless gowns. She took a glass of pomegranate juice and walked straight to the side gallery, bypassing the social nucleus entirely to study a 17th century painting. She pulled a leather notebook from a pocket and began writing. "Is she working?" Khalil asked, incredulous. "At my party. I told you she was dedicated." Khalil was already moving. He descended the marble staircase, cutting through the crowd like a shark through water. He stopped exactly 6 feet from her. She didn't turn. "You must be Amir's daughter," he said, his voice carrying the natural authority of a man who commanded boardrooms and nations. "Zaina." She finished her sentence before slowly turning her head. The veil shifted, revealing nothing. "Sheik Al-Sabri." Her voice was rich, carrying a polished British clip. "Your father had impeccable taste. This is a Hassan al-Nouri original, 1673. Roughly $8 million at auction." Khalil blinked. No flattery, no introduction, just an appraisal. "I'm more interested in you than the painting." He stepped closer, catching a scent of natural oud and jasmine, subtle, expensive. "I'm your new cataloguer," she replied, turning back to the canvas. "I start at 8 a.m. Until then, I'm assessing the asset quality." She snapped her notebook shut and moved to the next painting. Khalil felt a cold splash of rejection. He stepped into her path, blocking her way. She stopped, forced to look up. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes, the palace owner, my employer, and the man blocking my view." Khalil's jaw tightened. "Remove the veil. I want to see who I'm talking to." The silence between them was thick. Zaina laughed, a low, short sound that sounded dangerously like pity. "No, no. My appearance has nothing to do with my competence, Sheik Al-Sabri. You hired me for my expertise in Islamic art, not my bone structure. If the veil bothers you, fire me. Otherwise, it stays." Khalil was stunned. No one defied him, and certainly no one intrigued him this much. "Everything has a price," he switched to his seductive tone. "How much? 50,000 to take it off? 100? Zaina tilted her head. "My dignity isn't for sale, Sheik. But since you insist on pricing the priceless, I value my self-respect at infinity. Do you have that much liquidity?" She sidestepped him and walked away, leaving Khalil standing alone in a room full of women 3 days. Khalil spent 3 days trying to get her out of his head. He took 2 models to dinner. He bought a yacht. Nothing worked. His mind kept drifting back to the grey veil and the word no. On the 4th morning, he went to the East Wing Gallery. Zaina was on her knees on the marble floor, examining a 12th century bronze sculpture with a jeweler's loop. She wore the same style of dress, but now she had white cotton gloves on and magnifying glasses perched absurdly over her veil. "Attributed to Ahmad al-Basir, Baghdad, circa 1150, she dictated into a recorder. "Authentic patina, valuation 4.5 million. Khalil leaned against the doorframe. "You're good at this." She didn't jump. She just paused, then continued working. "I'm talking to you," Khalil said, irritation rising. "I heard you," she said, removing the magnifiers, "but I didn't hear a question, so I kept working. Time is money." Khalil pushed off the wall and towered over her. She stood up, peeling off her gloves. "Why do you wear it?" he demanded. "It's not religion. Your father drinks scotch." "None of your business." "Everything in my palace is my business." "Then you must be very busy supervising the gardeners and the janitors," she retorted, grabbing her tablet. "Or does your micromanagement only apply to me?" Khalil almost smiled. She was sharp. "You're different." "Because I refuse to strip for your approval." Her voice turned icy. "Low bar, Sheik." "Wait," he said, surprising himself. "I didn't mean it as an insult." Zaina stopped. "Let me clarify something. I don't wear this for modesty. I wear it because I decided long ago that my face and body do not define my worth. My mind does. If you can't respect me without seeing my face, you don't deserve to know me." The words hit him like a physical blow. She was right. He had objectified her immediately. "I judged you," he admitted, his voice lower. "I assumed it was a gimmick. I was wrong." She turned, and he felt the weight of her gaze through the fabric. "You offered me money to undress my face," she said. "That tells me everything about how you view women, as commodities." She turned back to her work. Khalil stood there for a moment, wrestling with a foreign emotion, shame. 2 weeks passed. Khalil found excuses to visit the gallery daily, checking progress, discussing acquisitions. Zaina tolerated him with cool professionalism, until he walked in one afternoon and found her sitting on the floor, back against the wall, tablet discarded. Her shoulders were shaking. Khalil froze. He could handle hostile takeovers and diplomatic crises. Crying women? No. "Zaina?" She wiped her face beneath the veil. "Nothing. Just a hard day." He sat down on the floor beside her. His $5,000 suit hit the cold marble. "You're clearly not okay. And since you're in my palace, it is my business." She let out a watery, humorless laugh. "Today is the anniversary." "Of what?" Silence stretched, then barely a whisper. 3 years since my fiancé left me at the altar. I was in the dress, 500 guests. He texted me, said he found someone prettier, someone worth looking at. Rage, hot and sudden, flared in Khalil's chest. He was an idiot. Maybe, but he wasn't wrong. I was always plain, invisible. He made me feel seen. Then he traded me for a model. That's when I decided, if the world only values the rapper, I'll remove the rapper. The veil protects me. Khalil looked at her. The veil wasn't arrogance. It was a scar. He was a coward, Khalil said firmly. Any man who judges you by appearance isn't fit to clean your shoes. She turned her head. Coming from you, that's ironic. I know, I judged you. I thought you were hiding mediocrity. I was the fool. He reached out, hovering his hand near her shoulder. She didn't flinch. He rested it there gently. You are the most intriguing woman I've ever met, Zaina, and I don't even know the color of your eyes. Brown, she whispered. With green specks in the sunlight. Khalil smiled. One day, if you ever decide I've earned it, I'd love to see them. Not because I ordered it, but because you chose it. For the first time, she didn't pull away. The dynamic shifted. They weren't friends, but they weren't enemies. They discussed art, philosophy, books, until the charity gala. Amir insisted Zaina attend for networking. She wore a midnight blue velvet gown, her veil a matching silk embroidered with silver constellations. She looked like the night sky brought to life. Khalil stayed by her side, acting as a shield against the curious and the rude. Then came Ahmad al-Rashid, drunk, rich, and boorish. So you're the mystery woman, Ahmad slurred, eyeing her with disdain. Let me guess. Burn victim, horrible teeth? Khalil stepped forward, fists clenching. Walk away, Ahmad. Zaina put a hand on Khalil's arm. No, let him speak. Ahmad smirked. $1 million. I'll donate it right now if you take that rag off. Let's see if you're worth the drama. The ballroom went silent. 300 people watched. 2 million, Zaina said calmly. Ahmad blinked. What? The price is 2 million, she projected, her voice clear and unwavering. For the children's hospital. You wire $2 million right now in front of everyone and I'll remove it. Ahmad paled. Khalil grinned. She was calling his bluff. You heard the lady, Ahmad. Pay up or shut up. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Phones came out. Ahmad stammered, I don't have that liquidity on me. Then we're done, Zaina said, turning her back. Next time you want to humiliate a woman, ensure you can afford the ticket. Laughter erupted. Ahmad fled. Khalil looked at Zaina with pure admiration. You're brilliant. I know, she replied, and he could hear the smile in her voice. In that moment, surrounded by flashing cameras, Khalil Al-Sabri realized something terrifying. He was falling in love with a woman whose face he had never seen, and he didn't care, 3 months post-gala. The tension between them was palpable. Khalil invented reasons to summon her. Today, he didn't bother with an excuse. Zaina entered his office carrying a ledger. You called? Yes, I wanted to see you. She paused. Khalil, I know, it's inappropriate. You work for me, but I can't stop thinking about you. He walked around his desk, stopping feet away. I wake up wondering if you're smiling. You're driving me insane. You don't know me, she deflected, crossing her arms. I know you read Persian poetry. I know you cry over damaged restoration jobs. I know you hate coffee but love mint tea. I know you're brilliant and brave. He took a step closer. I know you're scared to be seen as disposable again, but you are irreplaceable. Stop, she whispered. Why? Because you feel it too? I would marry you without ever seeing your face, Zaina. She froze. You're crazy. I'm honest, I love you. I love the woman under the veil. If I never see your smile, I'll die a happy man just knowing you. Zaina stepped into his space, placing a hand on his chest over his racing heart. You're an arrogant idiot, she said, her voice trembling. I know. Give me time, she pleaded. I need time to trust that this is real. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. They stood there in the quiet office, touching without touching, a pact forming in the silence. 2 months later, Khalil kept his promise. No pressure, no demands, just courtship, old-fashioned and intense. Books, tea, late-night conversations about dynasties and dreams. Zaina began to thaw. Then came the night everything changed. Khalil was in a boardroom deadlock with his investors. Tariq Al-Fayed, a rival shark, was pushing a hostile takeover of a lucrative subsidiary. He was offering a painting valued at $15 million as collateral for a bridge loan. Zaina had left hours ago, or so Khalil thought. The boardroom doors flew open. Zaina marched in, tablet in hand. 12 men in suits turned to stare. "Zaina!" Khalil stood up. Breathless, veil askew, she slammed the tablet onto the mahogany table. "The painting," she said. "The collateral Tariq is offering. It's a forgery." Tariq shot to his feet. "This is absurd. That piece was authenticated by 3 experts." "Experts you paid off," Zaina countered, her voice cutting through the room like a scalpel. She swiped on the tablet, projecting spectrographic data onto the wall screen. "I ran the tests myself. The blue pigment contains synthetic polymers not invented until 1987. The canvas fibers are polyester blend. It's a very expensive fake, but it's fake." She turned to Khalil. "He's trying to defraud you." Silence. Absolute and suffocating. All eyes shifted to Tariq. He turned red, then purple. "You little... Get out!" Khalil said. His voice was low, vibrating with menace. "Get out of my building before I have security throw you out the window." Tariq grabbed his briefcase, sneering. "You'll regret this, Al-Sabri." As the door slammed shut, Khalil dismissed the board. "Meeting adjourned. Leave us." When the room cleared, Khalil walked over to Zaina. She was trembling slightly, adrenaline fading. "You just saved me $10 million and a subsidiary," he said. "Why?" "I didn't trust him. I ran the tests to protect you." She looked down. "I care about you too much to let him win." Khalil closed the distance in 3 strides. He stopped inches from her, vibrating with the urge to touch her. "Marry me." It wasn't a question. It was a fact. Zaina drew a sharp breath. "Khalil, I know it's soon, but I've made up my mind. It's you. It's always been you. I don't need to see your face to know you're my partner." She reached out, her gloved hand touching his cheek. It was the first time she had initiated contact. "Give me 6 months," she whispered. 6 months to be sure. To trust completely. "Done." He covered her hand with his. "But my answer is already yes." The 6 months passed in a blur of near-perfect happiness. The palace staff whispered, Amir watched with approval, and the couple became inseparable. Until Tariq returned. Khalil was reviewing contracts in his private study when the door opened. No knock. Just Tariq and 2 thugs in cheap suits. Khalil reached for the panic button under his desk. "Don't," Tariq warned, tossing a leather folder onto the desk. "Unless you want me to destroy your little veiled girlfriend." Khalil froze. "If you touch her..." "I don't need to touch her. I just need to reveal her." Tariq flipped the folder open. Photos fanned out across the desk. Grainy newspaper clippings from 3 years ago. Abandoned bride, groom leaves plain Jane for supermodel. The photos showed a woman in a wedding dress, crying outside a church. Her face was visible. It was pleasant, symmetrical, ordinary, and utterly devastated. "Recognize her?" Tariq sneered. "That's your mysterious Zaina. Before the veil, before the drama. She's just a rejected, insecure woman who hid her face because she couldn't handle being average." He tossed another photo, Zaina at a college party laughing, holding a red cup. Normal. "I'm going to leak these to the press," Tariq threatened. "I'll spin the narrative. The Sheik's mystery woman is a fraud, a pathetic girl playing dress-up to get attention." "Why?" Khalil asked, his voice deadly calm. "Because you humiliated me. I want the subsidiary back. Sign the transfer by noon tomorrow, or the whole world laughs at her by dinner." Khalil looked at the photos. He didn't see average. He saw a young woman in pain. He saw the person he loved stripped of her armor. "No," Khalil said. Tariq blinked. "No." "Publish them." Khalil stood up, leaning over the desk. "Go ahead. Show the world who she was. It won't change a damn thing. I didn't fall in love with a mystery. I fell in love with her." He grabbed the folder and shoved it back at Tariq. Now get out before I forget I'm a civilized man. Tariq snatched the photos, his face twisted in hate. You're making a mistake. He stormed out. Khalil waited for the door to click shut, then immediately grabbed his phone. Zaina, my office, now. Zaina arrived in 20 minutes, breathless. What happened? You sounded... Tariq was here. Khalil cut to the chase. He has photos. Before the veil, the wedding, college. He threatened to leak them if I didn't pay up. Zaina went rigid. Her hands flew to her covered mouth. A strangled sob escaped. No. Oh, God, no. Breathe. Khalil guided her to a chair. You saw them, she choked out. You saw my face? Yes. She curled into herself. So you know. You know I'm plain. You know I'm nothing special. You know I lied about it being a philosophical choice. It was just cowardice. Stop it. Khalil grabbed her wrists, pulling her hands away from her face. It wasn't cowardice. It was survival. You were hurt, and you protected yourself. But I'm not beautiful, she cried. You're Khalil Al-Sabri. You date supermodels, and I'm just... I don't care, Khalil shouted, startling her into silence. I truly, genuinely do not care. You could look like anyone. It doesn't change who you are. How can you say that? Show me, he said softly. Take it off. Right now. Prove to yourself that it doesn't matter to me. The air left the room. If I do this, she whispered, there's no going back. I don't want to go back. Zaina trembled. She reached up to the pins securing the silk. Her fingers fumbled, then found purchase. She closed her eyes beneath the fabric. She pulled. The veil slid down, forehead, brows, eyes big brown flecked with green, red-rimmed from crying, nose, lips, chin. The silk pooled on the floor. Khalil looked, really looked. She wasn't a goddess. She wasn't a cover girl. She was real. She had a small scar on her chin. Her skin was flushed. She was exactly what she had said, ordinary. And she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen because she was finally there. Do you see? She wept, tears tracking down her exposed cheeks. I'm just... Khalil silenced her with a kiss. He cupped her face, skin against skin finally, and kissed her desperately. He kissed the tears on her cheeks, the furrow of her brow, her trembling mouth. She gasped, then melted into him, kissing him back with months of pent-up emotion. When he pulled back, resting his forehead against hers, he smiled. Perfect, he whispered. But the photos... Let him publish them, Khalil said fiercely. We're going to beat him to it. We're going to make our own announcement. On our terms. He picked up his phone and dialed his PR chief. Call a press conference. Tomorrow morning. Everyone. CNN, Al Jazeera, BBC. We have a story to tell. He hung up and looked at Zaina, who stood exposed and vulnerable in the center of his office. He picked up the veil from the floor and placed it gently in her hands. If you want to wear this again, I will defend your right to do so, but not because you're hiding, only if you choose it. Zaina looked at the grey silk. Then she folded it and set it on the table. No more hiding, she said, her voice steadying. I'm ready to be seen. The next morning, the Al-Sabri Palace press room was a shark tank. 50 journalists from CNN to Al Jazeera were crammed into the space, cameras jockeying for position. Khalil walked in through the side door. He wore a traditional white thobe and black bisht trimmed with gold, a visual reminder of his power. Beside him, holding his hand, was Zaina, unveiled. The room erupted. Shutters clicked like machine gun fire. A collective gasp sucked the air out of the room. Zaina wore a simple navy silk dress. Her dark brown hair fell in loose waves around a face that was exposed to the world. She looked terrified, but she stood her ground. Khalil guided her to the podium and waited. The noise died down, replaced by a hungry silence. Thank you for coming, Khalil began, his voice steel. I called you here to make a personal announcement, but first, I need to kill a story before it starts. He looked directly into the main camera lens. A coward is planning to leak photos of the woman standing beside me, photos from a painful time in her past, intended to humiliate her, so I'm going to save him the trouble. I'll tell the story myself. Zaina squeezed his hand. he squeezed back. This is Zaina Fadl. She is a world-class art historian, a Sorbonne graduate, and the curator of my private collection. He paused. 3 years ago, Zaina was left at the altar. Her fiancé texted her that he found someone prettier. That betrayal broke her. In response, she chose to wear a veil, not for religion, but as a statement. She decided she wanted to be judged by her mind, not her face. He looked at Zaina. Tears were streaming down her cheeks, but she was smiling, and she proved it. To me, to the world. I fell in love with her without ever seeing her face. I fell in love with her intelligence, her integrity, and her refusal to bend. Khalil reached into his pocket and pulled out the grey veil. He held it up. This wasn't a gimmick, it was armor. Protection against a world that treats women like objects, and I respect her choice to wear it. He set the veil on the podium. But today, she chose to take it off. Not because I asked, but because she is ready. She is taking back her narrative. Khalil turned back to the cameras. So publish the old photos. Tell the story. But know this. I have seen her face. I know exactly who she is. And I am here to make this announcement. He raised Zaina's hand. I have asked Zaina Fadl to be my wife, and she said yes. Any attempt to disparage her is an insult to the future Sheikh Al-Sabri. Bedlam broke loose. Reporters shouted questions. Khalil ignored them. He cupped Zaina's face and kissed her, deeply, possessively, in front of millions of viewers. When they pulled apart, Zaina stepped to the mic. Her voice shook, then steadied. I hid because I was afraid, she said, afraid of being judged. But Khalil taught me that hiding isn't living. He loved me when I was invisible. He loves me now that I am seen. That is real love. Applause started in the back and swept through the room like a wave. Miles away, watching on a laptop in a darkened hotel room, Tariq Al-Fayed slammed his fist into the wall. He had tried to destroy her. Instead, he had just made her an icon. 2 months later. The wedding planning was in full swing, but Zaina was focused on her work. She was in the main gallery finalizing the layout for the new public museum wing. Khalil was away at a meeting. Security was tight, but desperation finds cracks. Zaina heard heavy footsteps, not the soft tread of staff. She turned. 3 men in black masks burst into the gallery. The leader held a pistol. "Quiet!" he barked in rough Arabic. "Come with us, and you won't get hurt." Zaina's heart hammered against her ribs. "How much?" she demanded, channeling every ounce of courage she had. "How much is Tariq paying you?" The leader hesitated. That second was all she needed. Zaina grabbed a heavy bronze bust from the pedestal and swung it with both hands. It connected with the leader's temple with a sickening crack. He dropped. The other 2 lunged. Zaina ran. She knew the palace better than anyone. She darted into a service corridor, hitting the panic alarm on the wall. Klaxons wailed. Red lights strobed. A hand grabbed her hair, yanking her back. She screamed, clawing at the attacker's face. He threw her against the marble wall. "Bitch!" He raised his hand to strike. The gallery doors blew open. Khalil didn't just enter, he invaded. Alerted by the remote alarm, he had sprinted from the driveway. He saw Zaina on the floor. He saw the man standing over her. Khalil didn't slow down. He hit the attacker like a freight train, tackling him with enough force to shatter ribs. He rained blows down on the man, brutal, efficient, terrifying violence, fueled by pure protective instinct. Security guards swarmed the room, subduing the third man. Khalil scrambled over to Zaina. "Did they touch you?" He checked her frantically for injuries. "Zaina, look at me." "I'm okay," she gasped, shaking violently. "I'm okay, I hit the first one, I ran." Khalil pulled her into his chest, burying his face in her hair. He was shaking too. "Tariq sent them," the captured thug wheezed as guards dragged him away. "He wanted to scare you into canceling the wedding." "Lock them up," Khalil ordered his head of security, his voice icy death. "And find Tariq. I want him in a cell tonight." When they were alone, the adrenaline crashed. "I almost lost you," Khalil whispered. Zaina pulled back to look at him. "But you didn't. We're here." She took a deep breath. "Khalil, I'm done waiting." "What?" I don't want the big wedding next month. I want to marry you now, this week. Life is too short to wait for perfect timing. Khalil searched her eyes. He saw no fear, only certainty. Are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything. He kissed her, tasting life and relief. Then we do it. 3 days, small, private, just us. 3 days later, under a desert sky bruised with purple and gold, they stood in the private gardens. Only 20 people were present. No cameras, no press. Zaina walked down the aisle of rose petals. She wore a white silk gown embroidered with silver threads, and in her hands she carried the grey veil. When she reached Khalil, the imam began the ceremony. The ancient words washed over them. When it came time for the vows, Zaina handed the veil to Khalil. "Cover me," she whispered. Khalil frowned, confused. "Why?" "Because I want the first face you see as your husband to be mine," she smiled, eyes wet. "Not the face the world sees, but the face you discovered. I want you to unveil me again, as a symbol that you choose me. Both versions, the hidden and the seen." Khalil's throat tightened. His hands trembled as he took the silk. Gently, reverently, he draped it over her head, obscuring her features one last time. The imam finished the prayer. "You may kiss the bride." Khalil lifted the veil. He revealed her chin, her lips, her nose, her eyes, brown with green specks, shining with love. "Hello, wife," he murmured. "Hello, husband." He kissed her under the stars, sealing a promise that went deeper than skin. As the small crowd cheered, Zaina took the veil from her shoulders. She folded it into a neat square and walked over to the front row, where the 5-year-old daughter of the housekeeper sat. "Keep this," Zaina told the little girl. "And remember, you never have to hide to be valuable. But if you ever need to protect yourself, it's your choice, always your choice." Khalil watched his wife, filled with a fierce, overwhelming pride. He had bought yachts, buildings, and companies. But this partnership built on truth was the only thing he had ever truly earned. 6 months later, the Al-Sabri Museum of Islamic Art was officially open. Zaina, the director, stood in the main hall watching tourists admire the collection she had curated. She wore a linen suit, no veil, just Zaina. Khalil walked up behind her, handing her a cup of mint tea. "I never asked you," he said, leaning against a pillar. "Do you regret it, taking it off? The exposure?" Zaina sipped the tea, thoughtful. "I regret that I lived in a world where I needed the veil to feel safe," she said, "but I don't regret wearing it. It led me to you." She turned to him. "And it taught me the most important lesson, which is," she tapped her chest, then her temple, "my worth was never in the veil, and it was never in my face. It was always here, and no one can take that away from me." Khalil smiled, pulling her close. "You are the strongest woman I know." "And you," she kissed him, "are the man who saw me when I was invisible." Outside, the sun set over the dunes. Zaina turned back to her work, free to hide, free to shine, and fully, completely loved.